Welcome to the Totally Awesome Fishing Show. In this episode, we're going to be using some modern technology and see if we can just improve our catches, in fact improve your catches. How does it work? Mike's the man.
Yep, I've got here the Deeper Smart FishFinder. It's a castable fish finder. I've used it in videos before. Great piece of kit. We're down here at Old Berry Hill Lake. What we're going to do is have a look around the swims. It's a very old lake, so the contour of the bottom is pretty consistent. So what I want to be able to do is find those fish. See if I can find one or two fish with the fish finder. Then I'm going to use feeders. I'm going to use a method feeder and try and bring more fish into that area.
See, what happens, guys, is this is even all the way over. So with no contours, where are those fish? You've got no features. So this could work out and find you fish. You know, there could be a shoal over there, a shoal over there, a shoal over there. Because there's no contours, you're never going to know that. But you might be able to with this little gizmo gadget, whatever you want to call it.
Yep, so we're going to take a little look around the lake now, a couple of different swims, and see if we can find some fish. Well, we've had a look around the lake and a few different swims, and we've found a swim that seems to be holding a few fish. So I'm going to cast out the Deeper Fish Finder. I'm not going to go into too much detail. If you want to know, I've done a full review of the Deeper Fish Finder. I'll pop it up. There's a box in the corner just here. If you want to click that, you can get a full review of exactly how to use it. But I'm now going to cast it out just to get an idea of depth, the contour, whether there's some weed on the bottom, silt, things like that. Just get an idea of the depth and maybe pick up a few fish. And if there are fish in the area, then I'll get straight onto those feeders, chuck them out and start bringing more fish in. So let's cast it out. Well, I've just cast out the Deeper, probably about 20 yards, I'd say 25 yards. Now it turns on automatically as it touches water, so that's turned on now. So what I've got to do is go onto my smartphone and open up the Deeper app, and then it connects it. Well, so it's cast out there now. Hopefully it's on. Here's the Deeper app. I just press the Deeper icon, and it fires up the app. And it's saying down at the bottom here, connecting to Deeper. And there you go. It's beeping, meaning it's connected now. I've got a depth reading up in the top right of 1.9 meters. It's flashing red because I've set a depth alarm on it. Now I'm going to mute it because otherwise you guys are going to get really annoyed with the beeping. And at the moment, so it's reading 1.9 meters, and I can see my battery percentage on it is, oh, and look at that, there's a fish there. 0.9 of a meter. There is a fish there. So it's solitary fish, it's on its own. I can see most of it's probably silt at the bottom here, because we know from the history of the lake that it's pretty much mostly silt, but I can see small gaps of weed there, and it's coming onto the screen here. But there is a fish, but at least I know that whatever fish that is, obviously I can't really tell, but I know it's at 0.9 of a meter. Okay, so it's not very deep out there at the moment, because it's pretty much, I think that should be okay for feeder fishing. The feeder's going to be on the bottom, they'll get used to the noise of the splash as the feeder goes in, because there's a lot of match fishing and stuff that goes on. So they'll get used to that. They'll be used to hearing the noise of the splash, and hopefully, even though there's a solitary fish there, it does mean that I can draw others into the area. So now, if you look at the reel, I'm just doing a slow retrieve. I don't want to do it too quick, so if I do it too quick, then the reading won't come out properly. So I just do a slow retrieve, and I'm just getting an idea of how quick it's shallowing up, because I know it's going to get shallower because the deep is coming towards me. I just want to get an idea of what the slope is like, the contour of the bottom. And I'm not actually looking at the phone at the moment, because it has, the great thing about it is it does have a history button, which means I can see everything from the last 10 minutes. So I'm just going to cast around now and just get an idea, do a couple of casts in different directions, get an idea of what the lake bed is like, and if there are fish in different areas. And then I can just tap that history button, have a look back and see what depth those fish are at. Well, I've done another few casts, and now you can see, just from doing those few casts, there's a fish at 1.7 metres, a fish at 1.8 metres. Now these ones are right near the bottom. It's a 2 metres, and they're at 1.7, 1.8. So that tells me it's certainly going to be good for feeder fishing. And there's another third fish coming in on the screen, slightly higher, but just the fact that there's 3 fish in that area means, to be honest, that's the area I'm going to target. I'm going to get that ground bait, get the carp pellets together, mix them up, and cast 2 feeders. I'm going to fish 2 feeders on the bottom with pellet as a hook bait, and I'm going to link them up to some bite alarms as well. And there's another one coming in at the top right there, so I know there's fish in the area now. And just to prove the point of the history button, if I press that history button there, the clock, I've got a little scroll bar at the bottom here, and I can see all those fish, what depths they were at, 1.8, 1.7, and I can scroll all the way back, and there's the gradual slope that I had as I wound it in. You can see that gradual slope if I go backwards and forwards. There's the normal depth, about 2 metres here, coming up to shallow depth when I brought it in. So that history button is brilliant.
Wow, right on the camera.
You're joking?
Yeah, just press the button. Just press.
I think
we just missed the.
Just missed the take, did we?
Yeah.
Oh well, fish on.
A fish is a fish is a fish.
Either way, changed tactics a bit, and I've really gone for the bait now. I've piled in a couple of ground. Oh, he's come off. He's there.
Oh, there he goes. There he goes. Well, we saw the fish anyway.
Saw the fish, but putting a bit more bait in now. Getting towards that afternoon sort of period, so I'm starting to put a bit more bait in, and obviously it's working, it's paying off.
Well, there we go. Mike lost that fish earlier on. That was on a feeder just next to me, and that possibly was fish that we saw marking on the sounder there, because I've now got a very small bream on here. Not a big fish, but I'm float fishing, and hopefully we get it in the net, be able to show it to you. There we go. Not a big fish at all, but target species achieved. And were they out there all the time underneath those sounders? You know, you've got to fish as well. The sounder won't catch you the fish, it will just tell you the general area you should be fishing. It's up to you as a fisherman to catch the fish. And there, a small bream red maggot on a Wegler float. So it's sort of one up to me, one down to Mike. I'm sure he's going to come back though. Let's get this guy back.
Well, I missed that one earlier, and we've started to get a few more takes now. To be honest, I've been baiting up a bit more frequently. I've noticed people around the lake aren't really baiting up very often, so I thought I'd put a bit more bait in. And I'm on the method feeder and a pellet feeder, so 2 types of feeder. This one's come to the method feeder. It's only been out about 5 minutes now, so potentially that fresh bait worked. But as you could tell by the fish finder when we cast it out, you could see those fish in that area. So I've tried to keep the casting in that confined area that we spotted those fish on the depth finder, and it seems to have paid off. So I'm going to definitely keep baiting up and keep casting into that restricted area. I don't want to be casting too far out. I want to try and make every cast really accurate, but it's certainly a better sized bream. There we go. It's not going to set the world alight, but it certainly shows that the fish are on the bite. This was caught on a banded pellet, just a hard pellet, and obviously with a method feeder with some 2mm pellets in there with some ground bait as well, which I'll show you in a bit how I use it and how I set it up. Hopefully more to come. Let's let this one go. I reckon that could be a big bream. It's a big fish.
Bigger bream?
No, or a pike or something. Look at the head kick, look. It's holding.
Let's keep it tight.
Whatever it is. Is this a bigger fish? What the? It's just been
Bigger
sitting
bream.
on the bait. I reckon it's a different species. I don't think this is a bream.
Oh,
Whatever it is, it's kicking big.
It's like a pike eating another fish.
I think it's another. I think it might be a pike or something. It's kicking
A pike with another fish. You net it first time. You got your net there?
Yeah, I don't know what this is.
Don't look like bream to me.
It's not a bream. And it's not a carp. Just sitting.
Oh,
on the
big
bait.
swirl.
Yeah.
Big swirl.
Carp.
No, it's a zander.
It's a zander.
It's a zander. Get it first time, mate. Just keep a little bit of pressure on it.
It's obviously had a bream or something. That's a nice zander, man.
Is it? Yeah, Joe,
Yeah,
we haven't got it.
it's
It's right, a nylon trace, it's £3 line, it's probably going to go.
Look at it. It's a decent zander.
Oh man, he's actually taking it.
Yeah. What size hook's that? 20?
No, it's not small. Just take your
He's gonna
time.
ping off any minute. I don't want to overkill him.
No, just keep it. Just do what you're
Nice
doing.
fish. Look at it. It's good zander. Oh, it's tame.
Yeah. Watch his head shakes against the feeder. That's when he'll pop it off. Nice zander. Take your time.
Oh, I don't want to think
No. No, if he comes off, he comes off. It's amazing you had it on that time. Don't watch the feeder doesn't bang in the edge of the net.
Best fighting zander I've had. Didn't it?
Well, on that small hook. About £5–6, I think.
Yeah. PB zander on this tackle.
One more roll. Careful.
That's a nice. No, that's
Oh, that's a big zander. That's a big zander.
What is the chances of that? That's a nice zander.
That's a really big
Chunky
zander.
zander.
That's nearly a double, you know. That's unbelievable, isn't it?
That is ridiculous.
That is a luck turn
He
round
must have been
big time.
sitting in that swim.
I think he ought to eat the swim feeder.
I think he's just sitting in that swim. What's
That's
he doing?
unbelievable.
What's he doing taking a pellet?
I don't know. Let's not complain.
No. Let's get an unhooking map for this one, I think.
Yeah, from home.
Yeah. Well, guys, this is very strange. I've actually hooked into and landed a zander. Now, we've been zander fishing here before at Oldbury Hill. It's a great zander venue. But now is not the time. This time of year, we're coming up to end of June. We're in the middle of summer. And I'm not using any dead baiting or anything like that. I'm just using a method feeder with pellets. And I hooked this zander. He was hooked on the lip. And this is a nice, chunky zander.
Yeah, good big
So
fish.
it's a real surprise for me to catch this at this time of day.
£7,
At this time of
£6, £7.
year.
I wonder if he was out looking for that bream shoal.
I reckon he was sitting over that bream shoal when they were over there. I reckon he was just sitting there. Because they do see that activity and they're going to follow the activity, because where the smaller fish will go, this is where the zander will go. So,
Well, Dave's
I have to
got to get some scales anyway,
Yeah.
so we'll see if it's
it's a cracking fish.
over the sort of 6.5-ish, I guess. I
Yeah,
don't know.
well, look at there. Look at the teeth on that. You can see it's broad across the back there. It's definitely broad across the back there, and they've got this spiky dorsal. Zander are famous for this. I'll show you later. There, that dorsal fin there. That is lovely dorsal fin they got. Oh, that's got some weight to it. Definitely has some weight to it. That's a nice fish. Look at that. That is a nice fish. That's up there with one of my PBs, I'd say.
I don't really think it's over £6, so Dave's going to
Dave's going to come and...
Dave's going to weigh it in his match scales.
Here we go. If you'd like to put it in there nice and gently, thank you.
Yeah, he's 6.
6'8" on a zero of that. 6'10", 6'11".
6.11.
Right,
We'll
£6.11.
settle for that.
Excellent. Well done.
That's a cracker. There we go. What did we say it was?
11.
6'11". Look at
Nice
the bangs
fish.
on that. What a cracking fish. That is awesome. Did not expect that on the tackle I was using. and the time of year.
And the last time you used that sounder,
Yeah.
we were over by the island.
We were trying to catch these. Yeah,
And
I
you
caught
got-
one of
and you
these
got another
using
sounder.
the Deeper FishFinder. I just lost that bream, but I had that lovely zander earlier, so it's a good opportunity really to tell you basically the setup that I'm using. So I've got an 11-foot Avon rod, nice and sensitive tip, but it's still got the power to chuck out those feeders. The reel I'm using is just one of Dad's old famous battered pieces of very good reels, but he would call them very good reels, but they've got a sort of clutch there, and it's easy to use. Nice small size reel, about 2000 size reel. £6 line, I think it's Pro Gold, and that goes down to the feeder, which is a method feeder here, and this is 25 grams, this method feeder. So £6 line, that line goes all the way through that feeder there, and then it comes out here, and this is the great thing about it. I'll show you how it works. This is the hook length here, and that's probably about a 4-inch hook length. It's a size 18 hook, and the line there is £6 as well. And on the hair is just a rubber band, basically, which keeps that pellet on there. And I've been using the pellets today to quite good effect. Now what happens is, this isn't a bolt rig as such. It's slightly bolted, but what happens is the fish will pull here, and then that pops out that bead, and then they're free running straight directly onto the reel. So it sort of acts as a hook hold really, as that pulls out. You don't want to push it in too tight, because the bream are quite finicky fish. A carp would probably be alright, but bream are quite finicky, so you just barely push it in there. As the fish takes the bait, pop, that runs out, and it's sliding through, and you're straight onto the fish. Now let me show you how to put the ground bait on there. Well, for those of you overseas, in America maybe, or other countries where you don't really know what I'm talking about, feeder fishing basically means that you are having a feed of bait next to your hook bait here. So that little method feeder, it's called a method feeder there, is helping attract fish to this hook bait here, and that's the idea. That's basically what feeder fishing is. There's loads of different types of feeder. The one I'm using today is a method feeder. Let me show you how it works and what bait I put in it. Yep. Right, well in this bucket here I've basically got a mixture of 2mm carp pellets. They're the very tiny pellets you can see there, and the green powder is betaine green powder. So that's my ground bait. So I've got 2mm carp pellets and then some ground bait there as well. I've added a small amount of water to that, just enough so that when I crush it like that, it bonds together, and that's what's going to pinch around the feeder. Well, if you can see there, that's my rubber band. That's the pellet hook bait I'm going to be using. Got a clever little tool here, which you may have seen in some of other videos. Just helps expand that elastic band so that I can get the bait on. You just push it in like this, and at the top here you push down, and as you can see, that stretches out the elastic band. Then I get the pellet, I just place it under there, slowly come off the trigger thing, and there we go. There's our hook bait with the elastic band sitting just off it. Well, this method feeder here, it basically comes with a plastic mould, and it's actually got I don't know if you can see that, it's got an insert, like a little dent at the bottom there, and that's for your hook bait. So there's a little indent, and what I'll do is I'm going to put my pellet and the hook that's on the hair there, in there like that. That can just sit there. Then I'm going to grab some of the ground bait that I've got here, and the pellets, just gently put it over, and I'm going to just do a small press there, just to begin with. Then I'm going to put a bit more on top, really loose, and then gently press it down. Then I get the feeder itself here, turn it upside down, and I push it relatively hard so that that sticks together. Then I just turn it back over this way. I hold this bit here gently, peel that back, and as you can see, that's now compressed, and you can see my hook bait is perfectly on the top. Now as that hits the water, as soon as it hits the bottom, that will start breaking up that ground bait, the green betaine, and the pellets will sit around the small 2mm pellets will sit around my hook bait pellet there, and the bream will confidently pluck away at that and eventually slip up and take the hook bait. Let's get it out there. Well, I'm just about ready to cast, and what I'm doing is I'm looking on at the end of the bank at the other side, and I'm using the tall tree and the shadow line of that tall tree basically as an aiming marker, so I know exactly where to cast. just cast out the method feeder, and I said there's lots of different types of feeders. Thought I'd show you this one. This is called a pellet feeder. Very similar. You put your ground bait and your pellets in there, except this time it's a bit more closed off at the top. So the bream have to be a bit more confident at plucking away there, and hopefully they get your hook bait. I'll just show you quickly how you use it. Push a bit of ground bait in there and your pellets. We've got some maggots in there as well. I pat it down a bit first, then I put my hook bait there, if I can, on top, and then I put a bit more over the top of that hook bait. Don't push down too hard because you do want it to come out, so I'm just gently pressuring it down, and then when that lands, that will sit like that. That will start to break away and your hook bait will just fall out in front of it, and hopefully you'll see the hook bait, and the bream will see that too. It's in the net, and it's another fish. And there you go. You can see the method feeder just there, and there's the rubber band and the pellet just popped out. Hook just popped out. Wasn't that lucky? Well, there we go. It shows that modern technology mixed with old school techniques can certainly work. Wait a minute. There's a fish on.
That wasn't actually faked at all,
No,
was it?
I just heard the buzzer going. Definitely a fish on here. Fish similar size.
And certainly the feeder is doing better than
The feeders at the moment.
than
Yeah,
the float.
This is the pellet feeder, this one. Well, there we go. On the pellet feeder. You can't really do better than that. 2 fish in the net. 1 on the method feeder, 1 on the pellet feeder. Job done. Well, there we go. 2 lovely slabs of silver. Not the biggest bream, but we're certainly getting onto the fish now with those feeders. And you can tell from that the old Deeper FishFinder has definitely helped us find those fish holding spots, and just basically trying to locate where they are to begin with, and then we fed those spots up with the feeder, and it's starting to pay off. We're getting the rewards, as they say.
Well, there we go, guys. That's a proper bream from Old Berry Hill Lake, and that could have been one that you saw earlier on in the echo sounder mid-water that's actually gone down on the feeder now and is on the bottom. Let's get it on that way, Matt. We'll show you what it looks like. Now that's good fun to catch. Anybody can come here on a day ticket, and you can get bream, you can get tench, and good winter fishing as well here. Do you know what? I've got a feeling we might get some more. I mean, they must be coming on the bite now, no question of that. I cast up the float and I went to sit down and I thought, why can't I put this rod in the rest? Something's tight, something's caught somewhere. It must have taken the bait on the drop with the float, and on the match rod, it's what bream fishing, it's really what waggler fishing is all about. Nice bend in the rod, and I don't think this is a small fish either. It just goes to show you, we walked all the way down the lake using that little echo sound, a little deeper, not just trying to find contours or features which normally would point you in the direction of a fish, but actually to physically find some fish. Fingers crossed Oh yeah, nice fish. We get to show you another one. And I changed over to what Mike's been catching on those pellets. Seems to make, look at the bend in this rod. I mean, this is not a bad old bream. One's not a million miles away from 4 pounds, I know. Come on. I'm using the same rig as Mike, but I'm on the waggler float there. You can see the waggler float up in the, by the net there. You can see the waggler. And here comes the bream. Hook's hanging there. Too late, pal. Oh, dear me, ladies. That's what we call, in England, a slab. Well, I'll tell you what's great fun here at Old Berry Hill is Mike's getting them on a feeder and I'm getting them on a float rod. It shows you that traditional methods can catch, albeit we're using pellets, or Mike's been converting me to some pellets. I just happened to bring some pellets with me. Good job I did. And there, of course, these little banded thingies can be used over and over again with a pellet. And this, I feel, is even bigger than the last one. Do you know what? If you had a net of these, you wouldn't need very many to get 100 pounds.